Greetings, viewers, and welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring Dawn of War 2, the Elite Mod. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for you tonight as always. And we've got a one-on-one, the final one-on-one before we move on to the 2.4 patch, which was just released. If for some reason you're not in the know and don't know what's going on with that, it's a monster of a patch. It has pretty much overhauls for both the Eldar and Grey Knight factions, plus plenty of balance and updates for everyone else. And then, last but not least, matchmaking is finally in the Elite Mod. The tech priests of the Elite Mod community have finally managed to finagle in some matchmaking, so no longer is Elite Mod stuck to just making custom games. As a matter of fact, that Find Game button was highlighted when I launched 2.4 the other day, and it actually caught me off guard. I hadn't seen that screen in so long. But anyways, get that update. We're going to do a couple more casts this week of the old patch, and then from there on we're going back. That's why once again we've got Big Mathis as the Force Commander facing off against Tex as the Ravener Alpha. This is the actually opposite of what we saw last game on our last one-on-one on this channel. We saw Big Mathis playing the Ravener Alpha facing off against an enemy Force Commander. Normally I change up the players a bit, but since this is the last cast of the old patch, this looked like the most interesting game I had as far as one-on-one. So Big Mathis is going to be around for his third match in a row. Props to him on that. And we've got double scouts facing off against double Hormagaunts here on Greentooth Gorge. Force Commander's getting the runaround. Tex literally running circles around the Force Commander with that Ravener Alpha in case he activated that battle cry so he could dodge those special attacks, and the Termagants were enough DPS to send him packing. On the other side of the map, however, we've got Hormagaunts engaging again. Tex doing some nice ring around the rosy here with this garrison, keeping out of that tactical Marines firing zone right there, but as it stands, looks like those Hormagaunts might manage to tag a scout or two, but gonna get forced off and sent home themselves. But either way, Tex has managed to secure himself what's looking to be a triple cap here, and then on top of that, put a little bit of pressure on top of Big Mathis' power farm. Might be able to take out a generator. Mathis did manage to at least dissuade those Hormagaunts from taking that center contested point. Tex now moving in position along with that Force Commander moving in now to try to protect this power node at least. Force Commander already getting upgraded with that Iron Halo, giving him a lot more staying power. Iron Halo, I think, works really well against Tyranids because, of course, the Force Commander is going to get attacked by these Venom Sacks of the Termagant brood here. So that Iron Halo really buys you some extra hit points when you're slowed and going to be taking that focus fire. Allows the Force Commander to stick around even when he gets tagged by those Venom Sacks. Warriors coming onto the field now for Tex. Scouts moving in to support the rest of the Space Marine army. Normally that's kind of how it goes against Tyranids with Space Marines. You have to really just kind of lock down one part of the map in early Tier 1. You can't really spread out too much, as most of your squads will probably just move straight up against Tyranid squads. But once you gather up, you can pretty easily deal with this force. So there we go. We see the Venom going down on the Force Commander. Force Commander taking it with that Iron Halo, but two squads of Hormagaunts moving in. Oh, actually, they kind of paused there for a moment, bought enough time for the scouts and Tex to make a little gap there so the Hormagaunts couldn't close in too effectively. Force Commander still haranguing those ranged squads on the back line, and scouts and Tex trying to do what they can to pick off these Hormagaunts before they do any permanent damage to this power farm. Looks like they might be able to rip apart a generator or two as it stands right now. Yeah, it's actually really annoying trying to pick these Hormagaunts off of those generators. Force Commander still hanging out up top. Ravener doing a little trickery with the tunnels. Those tunnels keeping those Termagants nice and safe. And yeah, as soon as the Force Commander hops off, oh no, Ravener! Ravener got a bit of focus fire there. Tex was so focused on popping those Termagants in and out to keep the pressure on the Force Commander, he didn't recognize the rest of the Space Marine army had moved in on his Ravener Alpha, and he unfortunately lost that hero. 450 to 441 right now. Gen farm's looking about even on both sides. A couple gens up for both players, and sniper wait, oh my goodness. That's sniper rifles for all three scout squads. That is quite a different play than we normally see, or at least I normally play. I guess as Tech Marine I need a lot more melee disruption, but my normal scout accoutrements are definitely shotguns and sarges, but it looks like we're gonna see, oh man, and infiltration, some heavy investment in these scouts from Big Mathis. So sniper rifles immediately followed up with infiltration for all these scouts, and 3, 4, 5 Termagants drop in the blink of an eye at the beginning of that engagement. These scouts gonna be able to rip apart those Gaunt squads. Hormagaunts now moving in on from the flank here with that Ravener tunnel. Good plays so far by Tex, really trying to keep the map pressure on everywhere. He's got warriors just on capping duty on the far side. He's got the Hormagaunts ripping apart generators. This has to have been the 4th or 5th generator he's taken out already. Oh no, Ravener Alpha goes down again to the sniper scouts and the tax up top. That's really a lot of burst damage potential. You have to be very careful when you're dealing with even a couple snipers, let alone 3. Tex is managing to bleed Big Mathis reasonably well in return by keeping the pressure on that gen farm. Tex is heading into Tier 2 while Big Mathis isn't even anywhere close. With 3 sniper scouts, infiltration upgraded on all of them, the Iron Halo, and that Flamer on the tax. Big Mathis has spent a lot of power and has been losing a lot of his own. Unfortunately for Tex, the advantage that he has been gaining from taking out all those generators, he's kind of lost by losing his Ravener Alpha 2 times very quickly here. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's not necessarily that he has to recover from that, I feel like. It's more that his advantage has been lessened by losing that hero, whereas otherwise, I think if that Ravener had stayed up, Tex would probably be in a commanding position right now. Warriors kind of just hanging out idle, unfortunately, for the time being. Big Mathis, the problem with going with these sniper scouts is that since you've invested so much in these scouts, you need your scouts to be around for the battles to deal with the enemy forces. You can't really have sniper scouts that you've invested something along the lines of 35 power. It's either 35 or 40 with snipers and infiltration. That they can't really be capping, so you can see Mathis is down to just these couple rec points and his power farm. Managed to get the VPs back a little bit here. He's not too far behind, so that's working out fine. Adrenal Gland Warriors already on the field, so those are going to be a terror to work with, or work against rather. Hormagaunts now moving in on the backside, forcing off the tax. Have some Rippers out here too, looking to maybe tie up some of these sniper scouts and prevent the damage that they could be putting out here. One lone tactical marine heads home. that was a weird jump. I don't know if you saw that mega jump there from the Hormagaunt, but Big Mathis finally heading into Tier 2. Tex starting to take back control of the map just a little bit here. Force Commander's going to be tanking away with those Warriors. Warriors realized they couldn't stick around, not if those sniper scouts had anything to say about it. The Warriors are kind of a trap right now. You don't want to keep them near your gaunts at all because those snipers can so easily remove a model. Even with 3 snipers, you can see only one of those Hormagaunts fell right there because they do have their resist while engaged against these generators. Another couple generators go down. Hormas are getting perilously low though. It looks like Tex dropped a little micro right there. I think he was messing around with the Force Commander in the center. And between the snipers and the Flamer, that already injured Hormagaunt squad went down. That's going to be a big detriment. I think Tex's main advantage is kind of just overwhelming this force right now. I know when I go sniper heavy as Tech Marine, I can get very easily pushed by a heavy melee force, but now with one less melee squad on the field, it's going to be a bit harder to get in on these scout snipers. He does have the Force Commander as an excellent deterrent to deal with any... Oh my goodness! Down goes the Ravener a 3rd time! Tex looks like he's slipping up a bit here in Tier 2. He had a pretty solid position going into Tier 2, but now losing the Hormagaunts, losing his hero for a 3rd time, things might be looking a bit trickier going forward. Getting himself a 2nd Termagant food. I suppose he's just giving up at the moment on that melee push. Those scouts being very aggressive. Mathis has been using the scouts very well too with Infiltrate. He's been pushing them very far forward, trying to see where the enemy position is, trying to get a few shots off before the engagements to weaken squads. But see, as soon as this melee gets in on these squads, there's really nothing they can do about it. The problem is these scouts are quick enough that they'll just retreat completely back to the base, and then as soon as you turn around and stop pursuit, they'll turn, fire, open up, and shoot you for a few models if you don't shoot the retreat button. But Tex is just buying that time. He's going to push them back as far as he can, buy the time to get back onto the field, trying to get back into this game here. A Whirlwind coming, triple scout into Whirlwind. I don't think I've seen that maybe at all in this matchup. Scouts now hunting down some warriors. Those triple snipers, man. Let's see, what level are they? They're already level 2. One's almost level 3. Pretty impressive so far. Force Commander does have the Thunder Hammer now. Gonna make him a real beast in melee against all these high model squads with that Thunder Hammer splash damage. Perhaps why Tex didn't opt for that, bringing back the second Hormagon Brood, is because he knew with triple snipers the obvious option for the Force Commander would be to get that Thunder Hammer to really be a major melee deterrent in case he tried to rush these guys down. But so far, there's not really been any opportunity for Tex to get a solid engagement here. I think this current build kind of has the potential to steamroll a bit, because once you fall behind on squads and requisition, then you have less forces to kind of storm the scouts with everything you have. Like, if you can get in on this, it's so easy to push off, but if you don't have the forces to really push through the initial volley and get in there, it's going to be really difficult to break this. Especially now with the Whirlwind on top of that, which will be slowing your advance if any of those rockets land well. The Whirlwind is nothing if not inconsistent though, so there goes a nice volley, slowing down at least some of the advancing forces. Unfortunately, it hit the Termagon more than it hit any of the melee there. But that Thunder Hammer special attack now slowing down the Hormagons and Warriors, allowing those scouts to get set up, knocking down Warriors, getting one Synapse Bomb, now soon to have a second most likely. Thunder Hammer takes out a second Warrior. Venom Brood at least got on the field, put some pressure on that Whirlwind, nearly took it out. Big Mathis managed to just barely get it around the corner while the Force Commander got in on that Venom Brood. Termagon slowly taking out that Force Commander. He is getting pretty tanky now. He's already level 4. Ripper's finally getting eliminated just about here. The Whirlwind rockets actually did a pretty solid bit of damage to those Rippers. Those Rippers normally are very tedious to deal with, but a little bit of AoE can take them out very quickly. Even those weak Whirlwind rockets that don't really do a lot of direct damage. So see, as soon as he managed to get in on those scouts, they had no choice but to retreat. Whirlwind now getting forced back. Dreadnought coming onto the field for Big Mathis. Ravener keeping those tunnels up whenever he can. 382 to 327. Texas still managing to keep the victory point lead, but he's going to have to play it really tight to stay in the game from here on. I think this Dreadnought could be definitely the nail in the coffin if it's used appropriately. Tunnels littering the northern side of the map, and once again, Hormagon's getting over here, put some pressure on the gens, but the Whirlwind, pretty good deterrent to that. Those Hormagons can't stay on those generators. They're not going to really be able to do too much, and they're not going to get that range damage reduction that they need while staying in melee. Fortunately, the full force of the Space Marine Army came over here. Triple cap for Tex, though, stretching that victory point advantage to just about 100 VPs in the lead. So buying himself time to get back in this game, definitely. Not sure what he's going to go for next. I feel like you'd want maybe some Raveners to try to get on these scouts, but I don't think the Ravener jump distance is far enough away that they wouldn't take a volley of scout fire And plus, the jump animation is, I think, just long enough that Sniper Scouts would probably be able to unset up and get out from under that. If he was paying attention well. Zone throw, also a definite possibility, but again, with this kind of single target burst damage, you'd have to be very cautious with that zone throw. We've got a Tyrant Guard coming out here shortly, so we'll see. Tyrant Guard could... I think if the Tyrant Guard had come out before the Dreadnought, it would be a much bigger threat, but as it stands right now, I don't think the Tyrant Guard is going to be that scary. However, with the Venom Brood out here, the Adrenal Gland, and that Tyrant Guard, if they can isolate this Dreadnought, the Dreadnought did upgrade to the Multi-Melta, so it's not a melee Dreadnought. But that Melta's a pretty, I think it's a pretty underrated weapon. It can do some really solid damage. It can one-shot just about any non-super tanky model. And of course, doing full damage to all armor types is pretty effective. Tyrant Guard's now coming out here. And it looks like we're going to have a big push. Ravner also upgraded with its Corrosive Devourer. So it'll be bringing some anti-vehicle firepower onto the field as well. Whirlwind shots go down and don't really connect with anything on that first volley, unfortunately. So the NID push is unhindered. And now they're moving in, pushing back the Force Commander. Space Marine forces realize they need to get the heck out of there. And that's kind of the unfortunate thing with that Whirlwind, is that sometimes we can see on these first couple of volleys, it's really just not done much at all. Those snipers actually doing some pretty heavy damage to this Tyrant Guard. I know sniper damage, I think it does full damage to super heavy infantry. I don't think it does bonus damage. I think it does bonus damage to heavy infantry, but not super heavy. I'll have to double check that. So this Dreadnought in a lot of peril, however. Capillary Tower goes up there trying to block its retreat, but it does go down just as some tactical Marines fall in here. Adrenal Gland Warriors still taking a lot of focus fire from these scouts. The scouts aren't tied up at all, so the sniper shots are landing. Force Commander getting perilously low to death there. Not quite connecting, though. Unfortunately, the Whirlwind was kind of exploding rockets right on the spire here. But there goes a solid volley right into the thick of the Tyranid forces, and now with all of that focus fire coming down from 2 squads of techs and 3 squads of scouts, there's really not much techs can do to deal with that. Momentarily decided he was going to try to go for that victory point, but then decided against it. Wow, look at the damage. Those scouts have to be doing bonus damage against super heavy infantry. I think they do 90 a shot now. We'll have to observe that when the next volley comes down here. Tyrant Guard looking like it should be able to escape just barely here. Synapse Bomb goes off from that warrior. And an easy route from those Tyranids moving out from their own base. Tacs now getting upgraded with their Sarges, one with a rocket launcher. One tac squad almost maxed out at level 4. All the scouts are, well, 2 of them are level 3. One's almost level 3 here. Really racking up the kills with those snipers. Techs have just been having a heck of a time trying to deal with these snipers. Hasn't been able to get in on them really at all. Those scouts are so speedy that even when you do get in on them, they can just either retreat without much issue or move on in. Hive Node tried to activate its ability right there to mitigate the first volley of sniper fire, but it got eliminated just as it activated that cloud. Looks like Tex has a second Tyrant Guard coming onto the field. I wonder if Spore Mines would be worth, I mean, probably not at this point, but maybe earlier on. Spore Mines, I feel like, would kind of force your opponent's hand. It would force the scouts to focus on the Spore Mines, allowing your other squads to get into combat with them. I'm not sure. I don't really play NID, so I'm not sure what the options for dealing with scouts easily are. But scout snipers, I feel like, aren't a common thing against NIDs in general. Ravner got a nice tunnel up on the back line, but it looks like, unfortunately, the tac spotted it just as the melee was starting to pour out of here. Only managed to get a single squad through that tunnel, and with all the focus fire out here, it's going to be pretty singularly routed. man, as it stands, the current paradigm of this game has just kind of been the Nids advance, Space Marines fall back, turn and fire, fall back, turn and fire. The Nids have taken the map once or twice, but ultimately not to really any gain. Hex has been losing lots of models and managed to take out that Dreadnought early, which I guess was pretty important. So a lot of focus fire going down on this first Tyrant Guard, but the second Tyrant Guard's now moving in, finding this Whirlwind a bit out of position. Now with a couple shots from the Venom Brood coming down, Whirlwind gets taken out. First Tyrant Guard shells up right in the face of the Space Marine army, not even concerned. Hormagaunts and Tyrant Guard kind of get mixed up there. It looks like Hormons are either going to put some pressure on the tower or go cap that other victory point. Man, look at the chunks of health that are coming off of that Tyrant Guard as it approaches those scouts. Pretty ridiculous. Big Mathis, oh my gosh, Big Mathis bringing out the big tank. The Land Raider Redeemer going to be on the field here shortly. However, as it stands, there's not enough anti-vehicle to deal with either of these Tyrant Guards. Is he doing something about it? Oh yes, he is. He's getting himself the Power Fist here, recognizing that he is going to need some hard anti-vehicle to deal with the current threat of these Tyrant Guards shelled up right in his face. Snipers can't really do anything once those Tyrant Guards start healing up. One squad of rocket attacks, not quite enough to deal with the Tyrant Guards, so the Power Fist was purchased. 3 sniper shots going down. Second Tyrant Guard's probably going to have to get out of here shortly. It's probably trying to heal up if it can. Let's see. 500 health on this lone Tyrant Guard, 250 now. And sniper shots. And the Power Fist eliminated. 221 to 144 though, and Tex still has the victory point advantage. A triple cap once again. He's been pushing these Space Marines back and taking the map for himself. I think Big Mathis still has the superior force, well, I mean, especially once this Redeemer comes onto the field. Tyrant formation hits, but the scouts got so spread out by the impact of those towers rising that even with that nuke, wasn't able to secure himself a victory in the form of converting a squad kill here. Land Raider is spotted, and all of those Tyranids start retreating. Tyrant Guard has no choice but to charge the heck out of there in the face of that giant tank. And it's stark white, too. That's a sight to see on the battlefield. In case you didn't notice, he's got this really cool, he's got the old school helmets going on here. Pretty cool elite mod skin there for the Space Marines. Even the Force Commander. He'll stand still. Pretty cool. Mathis is down to under 100 victory points though, so that's gonna come into play here shortly. Texas really been playing the map control game. Not really going for big kills or anything like that, just pushing the Space Marines back and taking the map where he can. Is the Ravener down again? The Ravener is down again. I think that's the 4th time the Ravener's gone down, unfortunately, for Tex. If he'd been a little more on top of his hero in the early game, I think that could have worked out a lot better for him. But as it stands right now, we've got a Carnifex coming out onto the field. Hopefully he doesn't go for the Thornback. I think that'd be a pretty terrible choice at the moment. Oh man! Sniper is putting some pressure on this lone Venom Brood, and down it goes. Sniper's searching for trouble. I think that might have been a bit brazen for Tex to send out the lone Venom Brood against all of these scouts that he knows can infiltrate. Because that Venom Brood's definitely something he's going to need against this Land Raider Redeemer. which is just roaming around now, looking for something to get into, looking for something to light on fire with those giant side-mounted flamers. Those Termagants can't even kept under threat of those scouts. Force Commander getting knocked about, getting focused down by lots of melee, realizes even with the Iron Halo and Power Fist, that's a bit much for him to deal with. 137 to 92, suddenly a triple cap for Big Mathis instead. And now at the sight of that, Carnifex getting himself a Devastator, realizing he will need a las cannon to try to control that thing a bit. That, between that and the other Tyrant Guard that he knows he wasn't able to take out. And now both players under 100 points going into the final stages of this game. Ravener Alpha on the far side going to get a decap in if he can. Tyrant Guard finding it's trying to keep between this tree and his enemies, but finding himself a bit too locked down here. Second missile launcher coming down for the other tac squad. Venom, Cannon, Carnifex now moving in on the flank, trying to at least push back that Redeemer a little bit, finding the las cannon instead on the back line there. Has to fall back once it gets that snare, especially now with 2 rocket launchers on the field and that Power Fist. Adrenal Gland Warriors trying to rip apart some Space Marines, but with the Force Commander there pounding away with that fist, not quite going to be able to do it. That Venom Cannon actually does pretty reasonable damage against tacs. Oh, nice Bioplasma shot, turning 1 tac into Blitz and taking out the Sarge, sending 2 packing back to the Land Raider. This Tyrant Guard looks like it's in a bit of trouble, unfortunately, though. Scouts engaging with the Ravener Alpha. They all hit that infiltrate, though, and managed to get out of there. Unfortunately, Tyrant Guard looks like it's going to be eliminated. The second Tyrant Guard going down there for Tex. Scouts trying to do what they can. There was a brief triple cap there, taking Big Mathis down to about 30 victory points. Tex can't quite manage to get the decap on the central victory point. However, the Ravener does have these scouts looking exposed on the far side. Should be able to prevent that cap. Another Tyranna formation goes down on the center. Oh man, it looks like Big Mathis might not even be paying attention and might lose one of his sniper scouts finally. Oh, they do get the cap just barely in the nick of time, even though he wasn't paying attention. 73 to 34. Orbital bombardment going down, right on top of all of those warriors. There's no way they're getting out of that one. They might even get destroyed before. Oh, there goes the big blast. Nukes going down all over the place to prevent caps. 72 to 32. Lictor coming onto the field. Lictor will be very effective at if nothing else, keeping the pressure on the map. But as it stands right now, Big Mathis kind of has the Land Raider parked between 2 victory points. I think he wants to kind of be able to protect both of these without having to move too much because, of course, the Space Marine Armory really needs to be in a pile to work at its maximum effectiveness and, of course, isn't particularly mobile. Venom Sack goes down, trying to slow down that Force Commander while getting the decap 58 to 32. Ravener now in the center trying to get the decap on that side of the map as well. Decap goes down on Texas Natural VP. Ravener Alpha looks like he will be able to buy enough time to get the decap on the central as well. Doesn't fall back before he goes down, but there's a lot of potential focus fire here. Actually, 2 of those scout squads went down already, so there's only 1 sniper left. But still, 2 squads of tacs, 1 almost level 4, 1 is level 4. Force Commander's level 7. Lictor's out here causing trouble, preventing caps, flings that Sarge right through a capillary tower and manages to get an easy kill right there as well. Now gonna fall back and probably go protect the far VP if he can. Tex just doesn't look like he has what it's going to take to break through this, though. There's so much anti-vehicle, and the only real way he has to deal with this Land Raider, unfortunately at this point, is that Carnifex. He's lost his warriors, both his Venom Cannon and Adrenal Gland warriors. All he's down to is Gaunts, the Lictor, bringing some more Venom Brood onto the field here shortly, but there's a Predator now onto the field as well. We're seeing kind of that Tier 3 critical mass for the Space Marine army that's just going to be nigh on impossible to break. Tex really has to close it out now, and he can do so. Mathis is down to 13 points. Scouts now encountering the Lictor, who's guarding vigilantly over that natural victory point. Another orbital bombardment coming down. No red must have been used for the Force Commander that entire game. Oh, and a perfectly placed second beam nails that Termagon squad, both of them. Let's see if it manages to take either of them out. Oh, wow, it obliterates one of them completely. Both of them completely, I think. There's no models left anywhere. That was beautiful. That probably sealed the deal right there. It was already looking pretty dire for Tex, considering there are two big nasty squads on the field and two big nasty vehicles as well. Not to mention the Force Commander now looking level 9 and fully kitted out with that Power Fist, Artificers, and Halo. Carnifex is so beat up, and there's just not enough time to send it back to base to heal. 40 points at the moment. Lictor is in the center getting the decap, trying to buy just maybe a bit more time. Frag Assault does knock back and prevent the decap for the time being. Predator in a bit of trouble. Tex is doing everything in his power to buy time, but it's just not quite enough. Lictor trying to fall back, but just a bit too much focus fire there. That Land Raider does quite a bit of damage at close range. It's not a great long-range weapon, but those two flamers, that Melta and that assault cannon, can really buy a lot of time. 32 to 13. Tex is just literally throwing gaunts to the Space Marines to get any sort of cap he can, but I just don't think he's going to be able to seal the deal. It was so close, and he fought so valiantly, but unfortunately, he was just not able to break those sniper scouts in the beginning or mid game at all. Finally, towards the end, started taking them out, but by that point, there was just bigger, scarier threats on the field, and he had lost too much to really be able to put a dent in all of these tanky Space Marine squads. Ravener Alpha goes down, just barely trying to get that decap, and just barely failing. Sticking it out to the bitter end, though, as these last few victory points tick away. Big Mathis takes the win again, showing he can win either side. Or actually, let's see. He did not win, actually, I think, against the enemy Force Commander last game. So the Force Commander won with both players facing that. Oh, man, and he hit level 10 right at the end as he's dueling with this gigantic Carnifex. He doesn't care. He's got a great big Power Fist. Look at that Carnifex with that big scary. He's so spiky in the Elite mod. It's ridiculous. Anyways, there you go. Triple snipers into Whirlwind, into Land Raider for Big Mathis. Tex could not quite deal with it. Lost his hero a few times too many in the beginning and kind of got rolled out of there by those sniper scouts. Started bringing it back a little bit towards the end and even managed to keep the map in his favor for most of the game, but once Space Marines hit that tier 3 critical point, they become so difficult to deal with. But anyways, check out 2.4. If you haven't played in a while, you definitely need to hop in. There's a lot of new stuff going on. Grey Knight's got the rehaul, Eldar got the rehaul, and you don't need to rely on custom maps anymore. Just hop in game, hit the find game button, and search for some opponents in some team games. 2-on-2, 1-on-1, whatever your fancy is, I don't care. This is Red-Rupee. Hope you've had a good time. Drop me a line. Always appreciate hearing from you folks. I'll catch you guys next time.